This sounds like a challenge. You cannot and will never debunk this. Yeah, these are pretty easy to debunk, so let's debunk them. Fiction shapes norms via narrative persuasion. No, it doesn't. You get things backwards if you think fiction shapes norms. Nice that you have a source, but this source is irrelevant. It's 20 years old, so that's already an F on your research skills. It's paywalled, so you most likely didn't read it. But I can accept that way more than not reading the abstract. Try to read it and somehow correlate that with the claim that fiction shapes norms via narrative persuasion. They have nothing to do with each other. The study is about the potentially positive persuasive effect of narratives and education through entertainment, not how fiction turns you into a child predator. Normalizing minors in adult or romantic contexts reduce social barriers. In real life, not in fiction. Platforms and organizations treat such content as harmful for precisely these reasons. Which platforms? Which organizations? If anything, they do not treat fictional content seriously. They focus on the real content because real children do deserve their priority. I love this so much. Your first debunk cited a 20-year-old paper that has no relevance with your claim. If this is the level of academic standards that these anti-shippers are so proud of, no wonder why they dropped out of elementary school. Let's get more into these undebunkable anti-shipper arguments. No real minors are involved, so it's victimless. Yes, this is true. I use this argument plenty of times. Why is this wrong? The representation still maps onto real age group and context. Wow, you're basically saying fiction is inspired by reality, therefore fiction is reality. Just because fiction is inspired by reality doesn't make it any less fictional. Leonardo da Vinci is a real person. That doesn't mean the Fate Go version is real. Oh, what did you cite here? UNICEF? This page talks about the safety of real children, not fiction. Your citation has nothing to do with your claim. Again, we have plenty more insane anti-shipper debunks. People can separate fiction from reality. Wow, please debunk this one. I beg you. Repeated exposure changes attitudes and normalizes behaviors. By this logic, if you love slasher films, you will be a killer in real life. Not everyone is equally resilient. Young teens are especially vulnerable. That's why anyone under 18 shouldn't be wandering everywhere on the internet. And that's why anyone trying to enter 18 plus conversations will be receiving the Jack Marston special. Research and platform policies operate on population-level risk assessments, not hypothetical exceptions. Hypothetical exceptions. You cannot be serious, aren't you? Most people, even teenagers, can tell the difference between fiction and reality. Most people are not exceptions. This is insanely delusional. You actually need to be on meds if you think people who can tell between fiction and reality are hypothetical exceptions. Also, this paper from 2012 is about consumer behavior affected by advertisements, not people who can't tell the difference between fiction and reality. Not to mention, this paper requires a request for the full thing, so you most likely haven't even read it yourself, especially since you can't even be bothered to read the abstract to see if the paper has anything to do with your claim. Is this really the level of academic standards that these anti-shippers are so proud of? If you genuinely want to prove that fiction will somehow magically turn people into real-life predators, maybe have some actual science to back it up. These anti-shippers debunk with way less science than a flat earther. There's no reliable evidence that fetishizing boundary crossing in fiction reduces harmful impulses. Wow, they just throw the whole field of psychology down the drain. No evidence? Even if you close your eyes shut and not read anything in the last 5 years, there will still be evidence of fiction, all types of fiction, reducing all sorts of harm. I strongly advise you to go to a psychologist because you really need one. Actually, considering that you need meds, I recommend psychiatrists instead. The citation on this claim is baffling. A preventative intervention to reduce risk of online grooming among adolescents. Just on the title alone, it's clear that the paper has nothing to do with your claim, but it's even more baffling when it's connected to the claim that prevention research and clinical guidance do not treat such material as therapeutic. It's a full paper this time, but the paper is about adult intervention to prevent online grooming with actions that do not involve fictional material. The word material is used many times in the context of either material goods or services to entice minors, or even real sexual materials involving minors. The paper does not discuss or even focus on fictional content, not on the abstract and not on the full paper. Another citation fail from the anti-shipper. It seems that the science is rather strong on the pro-shipping side, and the anti-shippers are desperate enough that they have to not only cheat their citations, but actively deny a whole field of study. Here's another anti-shipper debunk fail. If you ban this, censorship follows. I'll make this one quick. Yes, the slippery slope is true. It has been proven many times. Your counter-argument primarily discusses moderation of content that harms real children. Not fictional content harming fictional children. I don't even have to check your source to know that it's about real children, not fictional ones. I checked it anyway, and it is about real children, not fictional ones. Who would have guessed? Wait, hold on. NCMEC? Where have I heard of that? Oh yes, it's the same organization that reported that Norwegian guy to the authorities for playing teaching feeling. Nice to know that you got your priorities straight, NCMEC, reporting a guy playing with a fictional child slave instead of dealing with the people that sells actual real child slave. Oh boy, I want to see how anti-shippers tackle this one. Violent media and sexualized portrayals, particularly involving minors, are not directly analogous. Really? How so? Elaborate, please. Unfortunately, they do not elaborate, so I went on to check on the article, and I don't even have to open it. I already know for a fact that it says nothing. But I do my due diligence. The article is from APA, the same APA that provides the writing standards. Also, it's from 2013. Last time I checked, we are in 2026. And last time I checked, citing anything beyond 10 years old as your primary source is something that is worth an academic reprimand. Don't worry, it gets worse. The article is not saying violent media definitely affects you. The article is just an overview of how psychologists over the years since the 70s study the effect of media. And the study results are mixed. It's not a definitive answer. I don't know why you cited this article. It doesn't elaborate at all on how violent media and sexualized portrayals that involve minors are not directly analogous. If you can't elaborate how they are analogous, then I'll elaborate how they are. Both violent and sexual media encourage actions towards fictional characters that are generally unacceptable and even illegal if committed to people in real life. And that's fine, because fictional characters are not real, and we can do whatever we want with them. While the anti-shipper debunking attempts are hilariously sad and pathetic, there are some pro-shipping arguments that I see quite a lot, but I generally don't use them. You're the real pedo! Yeah, I'm not using that argument because it's irrelevant in a discussion of fiction and morality. Being a predator has nothing to do with their stance on shipping or fictional characters in general. Anyone can be a predator. I repeat, anyone.
And from New York, weighing in at 406 pounds, the Predator.
The majority of those anti-ship predators are against dark fiction. Again, not using that argument, there are plenty of anti-shippers who are actual predators to children, but I don't want to instill the notion that all of them definitely are. They just don't like shipping characters, which is perfectly fine, but it's not a moral issue. Pro or anti-shippers can be child predators. Anyone can. Labeling one group as definitively a predator implies the opposite group definitely isn't. And that's a very dangerous mindset to have. Again, anyone can be predators regardless of what they like or don't like. You are supportive of insert political, social, or ideological movement here. I have never used this argument at all. Not in this video, not in the past, not anywhere. Moral guardians can come from liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, anywhere. They will, and they have, attacked your favorite fiction when they don't agree with their worldview. Insert media here is created by a pro-shipper. Also, not an argument that I have ever used. Next, it's a coping mechanism. I don't use this either because fiction is more of an entertainment to me than a coping mechanism. And I discuss fiction as entertainment rather than a form of therapy because that's what most people see it as, entertainment. But there is a lot of scientific validity to it, so if you do use it, go nuts. Clinical and prevention literature advises seeking against coping that increases risk or normalize exploitative ideas. Except dark fiction is not exploitative and does not increase the risk. But please, continue denying science. You will not believe how terrible these anti-shippers are with research. If you support lolicon, you're still a pedo, full stop. Wow, a source. Let's read. Don't you just hate it when the abstract doesn't tell you the result and it's just used as another introduction? Even the abstract says that it's an ongoing debate, so your statement is not definitively proven yet by your own source. They did say that they're using academic research to showcase how this problem is influencing and normalizing the attraction to underage girls. Oh my god, is this seriously all there is to it? Just one page of a research poster with Wendy from Fairy Tale and zero attribution, credit, captions, or even any acknowledgement of the art. Great research you got there. Oh wow, I noticed that this is undergraduate research. They're not even done by real accredited academics. They're done by students. These anti-shippers are consistently terrible with research, and we haven't even read the content. The introduction has a wrong definition of lolicon because it doesn't specify that the girls are fictional, not real. Result 1 shows two arguments to either ban or not ban, which is irrelevant. Result 2 talks about how lolicon is part of mainstream media because of possible connection to the lack of sex ed? What? And it also talks about how Japanese law fights against real CP. These two are not related at all, but this whole paper treats it as if the two are the same. The conclusions are horrendous. The first paragraph does not make the distinction between loli and CP, which is absolutely important in the context of discussing fiction and reality. The second paragraph is a wild assertion with no evidence. Loli sends a message that girls are objects for consumer consumption? Fictional girls are not real girls. By that logic, anime in general sends a message that young teenagers are objects for consumer consumption. Good lord, these references are horrendously formatted. If these anti-shippers are academics, they would be kindergarten dropouts. Out of all the claims that anti-shippers make, this is some of the most outrageous. People like you are the reason Epstein could run a sex trafficking ring of minors. Yes, they are saying lolicons are the reason why Epstein could run his criminal empire. Somehow people that love fictional characters are the reason why a real-life criminal can traffic real children. Make that make sense. I've heard many stories of Epstein as someone who doesn't really pay attention to the news, but the last time I checked, he's neither an anime fan nor a lolicon. If anything, he is proof that you can be a non-anime fan and still be a predator. Twitter. I don't know what got into this anti-shipper's mind to think that people defending fictional minors are the reason why Epstein can run a trafficking ring of real minors. Not even Luffy can make a stretch that far. You are way too disconnected with the realms of reality at this point. I guess you missed the fact that he has power and influence, but alright then. Also, considering that he got arrested and allegedly exited himself out of his mortal coil, we are doing an incredibly bad job at keeping him to run it. Also, that citation you gave is from an undergraduate student where the abstract can't even make up a definitive conclusion. So, try reading your sources better before you make these dumb claims. My bad. Let me just completely obliterate my moral compass for a couple of pixels. Wow, I love how you just admitted to everyone that you're a moral guardian, and you're doing all this just to show how morally good you are as a person. Sorry, but if you really are a good person, you wouldn't have to try this hard to prove to everyone that you are. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below, and thanks for watching.